Our next speaker is Don Roberts. Specimen woods and trunk photographs illustrating the tree flora of Illinois created by Benjamin T. Gault, 1899 to 1901.
I didn't realize that was going to be the title, so sorry for the mouthful. So I selected this piece from our natural history collections because to me it emblemizes a lot of the creative ingenuity from naturalists, especially in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So what is this? Here we have a box full of, there's 30 slats, and on each one of these slats, on one side is a picture of a tree trunk, and on the other side is a wood sample. So I'm sure a number of you in this crowd especially, we all have our favorite taxa. You probably go out and you do identification, you find birds, you find trees, you find plants, and you always have your trusty identification guide with you. This happens to be a tree species identification guide, way before they could fit on your phone or in your back pocket. And even more surprising, this tree identification guide was not created by a botanist. It was created by an ornithologist. His name was Benjamin T. Gault, and he was a local ornithologist in Illinois. In fact, he earned the name Birdman in his home of Glen Ellen. The Chicago Academy of Sciences, our scientific collections, has a number of your standard ornithological kinds of collections that you would expect from somebody who studies birds. Field notes, bird study skins, nests and eggs. But then we also have this beautiful tree identification guide. Now, if you look in his field notebooks, Gault was not a fair weather ornithologist. He was out in Chicago's weather, and I've heard a number of comments about Chicago's weather, year-round. So in the wintertime, he was out watching birds, and oftentimes he would spend weeks watching the same bird population. And in the wintertime, he wanted to describe everything else that he saw. His field notes are rich with descriptions of the weather, descriptions of the trees, the plants, if they're next to a pond, other species that they interacted with. And in the wintertime, he was at a loss for how to describe the trees in which he saw these birds that he so loved. So he invented and created his own version of a tree identification guide. Now, what makes this box even more special is that Gault was a scientist. And so he did not just put together pictures and wood samples, but he recorded the data about each and every one. So on the underside of the lid, which is propped up in the background, there is a list of woods and a list of photographs. And every one of the wood specimens and photographs has locality and temporal data. One of our future projects is actually going to be to georeference all of these localities and then go visit these sites to see if we can find these tree species there today. Thank you.